Welcome to this AuxScout quick tip on what the AuxScout program is. This is a brief introduction to the AuxScout program. A more detailed workshop is available on the AuxScout YouTube channel at the address on the screen. The Coast Guard Auxiliary and the Sea Scouts have been working together since at least the 1989 National Scout Jamboree. A more formal agreement to cooperate was signed in 2009. In subsequent years, the Auxiliary and the Sea Scouts conducted many joint projects at the local, district, and national levels that went very well. Based in part on these successes, a second, more comprehensive agreement was developed and signed in 2018, in which the Auxiliary designated the Sea Scouts as its official youth program. Let's have a look at who the Sea Scouts are and how they relate to the Auxiliary.
The Boy Scouts of America's Sea Scout program is now the official youth program of the United States Coast Guard Auxiliary, the Coast Guard's uniform volunteer component.
Forging new leaders in service to others, safe and responsible boating.
These are the noble objectives of this great alliance between two of the most widely recognized responsible seamanship organizations in the world.
We've come together to share details about this alliance because we consider the outcomes vital for our country, for safe and responsible boating, and for the future of the Sea Scouts and the Auxiliary.
We ask our leadership and all our members to collaborate and make this program successful. Here are just a few of the many benefits the Alliance offers us.
Sea Scouts, you will benefit from augmented Coast Guard Auxiliary seamanship, STEM, leadership, and vocational training. You and your leaders can participate in Coast Guard Auxiliary shoreside and underway training and activities, introducing you to the exciting world of the United States Coast Guard. You'll also have full access to the Coast Guard Auxiliary seamanship, vocational, and leadership development programs. And Sea Scouts at least 14 years old are welcome to apply for auxiliary membership. Auxiliary flotillas can charter Sea Scout ships or units, creating a natural pathway from Sea Scouts to auxiliary membership or enlistment in the Coast Guard. Even Sea Scout ships chartered to other groups can be supported by local auxiliary flotillas. Auxiliarists and Sea Scouts, you will serve side by side, blending experience, youth, leadership, STEM training, and potential. Sea Scouts may even find their career path in the Coast Guard or maritime industry. Together, our organizations will learn, grow, and improve boating safety throughout the nation, as we ourselves grow and enhance our seamanship and leadership skills. You'll hear much more in the coming months. We hope you're as excited as we are about this dynamic program that creates stronger leaders and superior seamanship today and tomorrow. Please watch for details as they emerge from your flotilla and ship leaders, and help us forge this exciting alliance that ensures excellence, fun, and safety on U.S. waterways, now and into the future.
Please remember that AuxScout is Coast Guard speak for the Auxiliary Sea Scout Youth Development Program. No person is called an AuxScout. We work with Sea Scouts, and we should be careful that we refer to them as Sea Scouts. If a Sea Scout is also an auxiliarist, they're called an auxiliarist or a Sea Scout auxiliarist. A Sea Scout member of an auxiliary chartered ship is called a Sea Scout. The Memorandum of Agreement, or MOA, mandates several changes to how we work with Sea Scouts. These changes are codified in the AuxScout Standard Operating Procedure, or SOP, and are not incorporated yet into the Auxiliary Manual. The most important changes are as follows. 1. The auxiliary flotillas and divisions can charter Sea Scout ships, but not troops or packs. Number 2, Sea Scouts are as young as 14 can join the auxiliary. For all others, the minimum auxiliary joining age remains 17. A Sea Scout who joins the auxiliary must remain a Sea Scout member until at least their 17th birthday if they wish to continue their auxiliary membership. Number 3, Sea Scouts and adult leaders who join the auxiliary have full access to training and qualifications available only internally to the auxiliary and the Coast Guard. And number 4, local flotillas are encouraged to provide public education, training, vessel examinations, and public affairs assistance to local Sea Scout units, which are called ships. Auxiliaries can instruct Sea Scouts in a broad range of seamanship topics. Among the learning opportunities is the auxiliary boat crew training. Information about this is available on AuxScout Wiki. Additionally, requirements for auxiliary boat crew and other auxiliary member training courses have been compared to Sea Scout advancement requirements, and where they are the same or similar, that information is available on AuxScout Wiki. This makes it easy for auxiliary instructors to teach the Coast Guard's way of operating watercraft while helping Sea Scouts meet their rank requirements. One of our objectives is to work with the Sea Scouts to promote recreational boating safety. We can do this at boat shows, booths at boating supply stores or boat ramps, BSA Council Scout shows, or even Order of the Arrow events. A great place to start is to work with a local Sea Scout ship or Scout Council. You're probably wondering whether it's necessary for your flotilla to charter a ship so that they can work with the Sea Scouts. Well, the short answer is no. There are hundreds of Sea Scout ships all over the country, and most would welcome the opportunity to work with you. This can be as informal as occasional visits to teach special topics, such as navigation or radio communications, or a more formal commitment to provide auxiliaries as adult leaders and trainers, and setting up underway training opportunities on Sea Scout and auxiliary vessels. Building a partnership with one or more local Sea Scout ships can involve holding joint vessel exam events, public affairs booths, or informal picnics. The greater your investment, the greater your rewards will be. And of course, remember to have fun. The AuxScout SOP also authorizes every flotilla and division to charter one Sea Scout ship each. That means that the Coast Guard Auxiliary could potentially organize over 800 new Sea Scout units. That would provide large membership increases to local auxiliary units. What would the auxiliary look like? Well, it would be much bigger, much younger, and much more able to help the Coast Guard with its current missions. It's important to acknowledge that some of our older members are worried that working with Sea Scouts would mean babysitting immature Cub Scout aged children, but that's not who Sea Scouts are. Sea Scouts are older teenagers who are mostly the best and brightest kids in the neighborhood. They take responsibility for their actions and they're not scared off by hard work or wearing uniforms. Sounds like a good addition to your flotilla, doesn't it? Well, I think so. And don't forget that these Sea Scouts have parents who are mostly younger than the average Coast Guard auxiliarist. Once you get them involved, we'll have their help for many years to come. There are some other ways that we can work with Sea Scouts. Nearly every flotilla knows how to do public education, vessel safety checks, and public affairs. One of our goals is to make the Sea Scouts a better program, which in turn meets one of the Coast Guard's objectives of this partnership. If your flotilla can't charter a Sea Scout unit called a ship, they certainly can put on boating safety course or do vessel safety checks on the Scout boats. One type of joint Sea Scout auxiliary activity that's been successfully held across the country for many years is called safety at sea. This event is usually hosted by Coast Guard active duty and auxiliary staff. This provides the Sea Scouts with opportunities to learn safety techniques and train on equipment that they often don't have available to them. Skills include damage control trainers, firefighting, P6 pumps, man overboard drills, exposure suits, live flare training, radio communications, and marine environmental protection. Safety at sea events usually also involve Coast Guard and auxiliary recruiter presentations. Everyone has a great time, and the Sea Scouts leave energized and enthused. The Coasties and auxiliaries, of course, also get a lot out of it, not just from working with the Sea Scouts, but also with working together with their counterparts. Thank you for joining us today for this AuxScout quick tip on what the AuxScout program is. A more detailed workshop is available on the AuxScout YouTube channel at the address on the screen. Additional information and training on the AuxScout program is available on AuxB Wiki.